Hi everyone, welcome to our webinar today. It's called Go Further with Marketo's latest releases. So I'm very pleased to be introducing you to myself and one of our excellent consulting team today, so that we can kind of go through some of the key use cases behind Marketo's most recent releases. So as new functionality unfolds for Marketo Engage, innovating and unlocking new capabilities, that's just one of the ways that we at JTF Marketing work with organizations and work with our partners around the world so that we can unlock the true value of Marketo Engage. Just some housekeeping. So this webinar is being recorded, but it'll also be available on demand so that you can share it with your colleagues who couldn't join us live today. But if you would like to, please feel free to connect with us on LinkedIn if you want to continue the discussion. Just to, formally introduce myself, if you've not met me before, my name is Nathan and I'm the head of consulting here at JTF, and I'm relatively new to post. So good to meet you if I haven't met you already. And what I'll be doing in the call today is I'll be going over kind of what are the latest Marketo releases. I'll be going over both the January and the March releases. And also kind of discussing some of the use cases behind that. And then after, I'll hand over to the lovely Alba from our consulting team, who will be diving a little bit deeper into dynamic chat and some of the more detailed use cases for dynamic chat. I'm sure you'll have lots of questions throughout, so please put them into the Q&A as we go through, and hopefully we'll have some time at the end to answer them. But I appreciate that it's a short webinar today, so we'll do our best. Otherwise, maybe we'll try to follow up offline if needed. So let's get into the details. In the last two releases, and I know this kind of ties back into the Slido poll, so there have been further enhancements to the interactive webinar function in Marketo, which is powered by Adobe Connect. Obviously, this is kind of, when you think about it on a kind of bigger picture outside of Marketo, this is part of the general Adobe investment into integrating Marketo better into their existing stack, right? And making it a harmonious integration with the Adobe platforms. So the latest releases include interactive webinars being available on demand via the same interactive webinar joining link. But also some additional functionality, such as Marketo admins can remove users in interactive webinars. There can also be co-hosts within the webinar team so that you can share admin and delivery permissions. There's also enhancements to dashboards, so you can see the number of people watching, or you can also see on-demand watch duration as well. So that can kind of give you better insights into the kind of interactivity or engagement with your webinars. From a kind of Marketo smart list standpoint or smart campaign standpoint, there are additional trigger and filter constraints, which is really beneficial in terms of how you're kind of managing. If you think about a Marketo program and how you manage statuses, having those more intricate constraints in your filters will be beneficial so that you can distinguish between a live attendee or an on-demand attendee, and if you want to adjust statuses or responses accordingly as well. There's also watch date and watch duration as well, so you're getting further insight within Marketo too. One limitation that's worth noting, whilst the on-demand functionality is available, the limitation is that it's only available for 30 days post-event. So there's still consideration if you want to kind of incorporate that webinar recording into your library, whether you want to host that on another platform. Then this was also part of the January release, I believe. There's enhanced email bot filtering. So as you may already know, the kind of long-standing functionality was based on the Interactive Advertising Bureau list, which basically identifies typical bots and filters them out. However, there's a limitation that we're relying on one single list, and there's still a lot of bots activity that's getting through after that point. If you've ever looked at a lead activity log, one of the kind of typical telltale signs of bot activity is when you see lots of clicks happening all in the same minute or second, or even bot clicks happening before the email's even being opened, before the open's being registered in the activity log. And I've actually seen quite a lot of clients try to work around this. So they've still wanted to include email activity in their lead scoring model, for example. And they've applied workarounds by having a kind of clicks link in any email trigger, but then having an additional filter for has opened email in the past 1 minute, for example. But again, there are limitations around that, and it's not 100% effective. So hopefully with this enhanced functionality, this does give you a little bit of freedom to identify those kind of close proximity activities, and being able to filter those out. So the attributes that are kind of considered with this functionality is the lead ID, the email asset, and then the link click or email open activity, and how in which close proximity that they actually are logged. And then you can actually define that time difference as well, because if you see a lot of activities within 2 seconds in your instance, then you can set that filter for 2 seconds. I would always recommend to start small and then work your way up once you kind of have a better idea of how bot activity looks in your instance. But there is that flexibility to change the duration for the filter. But the positive thing with that is obviously more reliable email activity reporting, as well as being able to kind of trigger follow-up activities such as lead scoring in a more reliable way. Other notable releases may not be relevant for everyone, but if you use bulk lead API imports, there's been a minor update so that you will be able to see the number of rows failed, particularly when you're using ID as the lookup field. So obviously the idea is if you're making bulk updates and you're matching based off of ID, any failures, for example, if that ID is not found, you'll actually be able to see the number of rows that have failed, which you weren't able to do before. So just slight enhancement in kind of visibility on the API so that you can troubleshoot if there are failures. Live chat termination, I won't go into too much detail here, but ultimately it's a functionality that's available so that visitors and agents can now manually terminate a live chat session, which just is better user experience. But this is only applicable for kind of dynamic chat select package. Final one, jQuery update for forms. This has been kind of, I guess, notified for a while, but there's just a consideration from a technical standpoint. If your website is loading a version of jQuery that does not support this version, there's a chance that Marketo embedded forms may not load or submit successfully. So it's just worth checking in with your web team on that. Other upcoming releases. So some of these have already been announced in the past week as part of the March release. But there's, in terms of dynamic chat or advanced conversational flow logic, being able to reorder them, have been released in the past week. But there are upcoming releases all to do with dynamic chat. Again, further enhancements and investment coming from Adobe. One-click list unsubscribe. Again, this is aligning with Gmail and Yahoo's new sender requirements. You may have already implemented one-click list unsubscribes in your email templates already to get ahead of the curve, but this will be kind of automatically added for all Marketo emails as of June. So just as an FYI that's coming up. Some minor updates to Sales Insight as well as API activity metadata. But I won't go into the nth degree of detail on those because I know you're all very interested in going through dynamic chat. So without further ado, I will introduce my colleague Alba, who's going to take over screen share.
So hello, in this section, we're going to see what is dynamic chat, the most common use cases, and how to quickly implement it in Marketo. So as you all know, dynamic chat is the new chatbot solution by Adobe. The good news is that it's free, it's fully integrated with Marketo, and as I said, it's very easy to implement. The ones who benefit from dynamic chat is not only marketing users, but enabling the passive lead generation, but also sales users, as it increases the speed on the sales funnel, and also customers and prospects, as often this is the preferred method for them to get the first communication channel. And then if they are really interested in our product, they can always book a meeting with us. Here in the use cases, I try to align them with the sales funnel. So we can use dynamic chat for lead generation. We can capture new names using dynamic chat. And also we can use it for lead qualification, as we can integrate dynamic chat with Marketo fields and qualify our leads better. We can also use it for content engagement. We can encourage them to download guides, send them promos, personalized message, promos. Also for event registration, we can provide additional information about the event, answer any questions that they might have, and also redirect them to the registration page. A very cool functionality is that they can now book a meeting with sales using dynamic chat. So this it's very helpful for sales because people decide by themselves, like book a meeting. So it shortens very much the sales cycle. Then also it's a great tool for customer onboarding to show them how a product or our services work once they start being a client with us. And also it's a great tool to collect customer feedback. So in here, we're gonna see how to set up a dialogue, but first, what you need to do is to integrate Marketo with dynamic chat, which is super simple. You just open dynamic chat from Marketo, go to the integration in the menu here, and then you will have like a pop-up that says initiate the sync. And then you need to select which fields do you want to integrate with dynamic chat. I think it's up to 50 fields that you can select to integrate it with dynamic chat. And once you do that, it takes some time for the integration to be effective. But after that, you can start setting up your dialogue. So you will go to the dialogue section in dynamic chat, and you can choose between predefined templates that Marketo has, that they are very helpful if you haven't ever done a dialogue like this, because they can give you like a starting point, or you can start blank. So once you hit the dialogue, you will see that you will go to this tab, to the audience tab, where you need to define which URLs or URL you are going to deploy the chat. So in here, you just put the URLs, and then the chat is going to be deployed in these pages. Then you can also have additional filters, and you can define your audience based on events, which is related to the activity on the page, like the scroll percentage, the time in all the site, or the time on that specific page. And then also from the fields that you see from the integration, you can define attributes. So for example, imagine that you want to target unknown people. So you will drag the email address attribute and put email address is empty. So the chatbot will only be shown to that people and not known people. You can also show different chats based on the industry field, job title, any field that you integrated. And then you will go to the stream designer part, and you will design your flow. And here you have some of the options that you have in dynamic chat. The first one would be just a message. So the normal message, the basic message that we use when we initiate the chat. Then the questions, so you can input a question and then put like predefined answers. And then depending on the answer, they will go to one flow or the other. And then you can also capture information like email address or any other fields and map it to the Marketo fields. Then you can also add the option to meet a booking with sales. And for that, you need to have, we will see it in the next slide, but you will have to add the salespeople as users of dynamic chat, and they need to integrate their calendars. And finally, the most important is to set up a goal or goals, depending on how big is our dialogue. So this is very important, and this is what is going to determine the success of our chatbot. And also we can use that information as triggers in Marketo Smart campaigns. Here is the prerequisites for using meetings is that, as I said, the sales agents are added as users of dynamic chat in the Adobe admin console. Once that is done, they will go to the agent settings here in the menu, and they can connect their Google Calendar or Outlook. And once they do that, you will see a pop-up message where they can edit the confirmation email that the person is going to receive with the details. So this could be editable. And then also it's very important to define the routing rules for the sales agents if you have more than one. So we can use round robin, and the meetings are going to be assigned in a rotating manner, or you can use custom rules based on the attributes that you want to use. So for example, if we have different agents for different regions, we can put conditions like if a country is Spain, it's going to go to this specific sales agent. If it's UK, it's going to go to the other one. So yeah, you can customize it as you wish. Then for the configuration part, this is where you're going to define how your chatbot is going to look like, the colors, the font, also the avatar. And yeah, once this is ready, you just click in and save. And in here, you can see in the right side how the chat is going to look. And then you will go to the installation part where you will have an HTML that you will need to provide to your web team, and they can deploy it in the website. So if the dialog is published, you selected your audience and you put the URLs where the chat is going to be deployed. Nothing is going to show until you install the HTML code in your website. Something that I like to do once I'm before I send this to our web team is to test it in a Marketo landing page, which I'm going to show you now because it's super simple. And then you can see how it looks. Yeah, so for that, you will just go to where I showed you, here, and you go to the installation here, and you just copy this. And then you go to your landing page in Marketo. You click here. And then in landing page actions, you edit the meta tags, and you just put it in here, as you can see. And then you approve your landing page. And one important thing that I've forgotten is that as I said, you need to define the target URL. So you copy the URL, you go to dynamic chat, and then you select which dialog do you want to use in that URL. So for example, let's say that is this one. So we click here, and then we add the URL. And then we publish the changes. So now if we go to the URL, we should be able to see the chat. So you see it's appearing here. So you can interact with the chat, see how it's working, and see if you're ready to deploy it in your website. Then also the reporting part. So you can also, as I said, you can also report on this on Marketo. But in Dynamic Chat, you have an analytics section. The first one would be the global performance, where you see like a global overview of how your dialogues and conversational flows are performing, the engagement rate, how many chats are being triggered, how many people engage, and how many people completed the chats. Also, how many people we acquire through the chat, how many goals are raised, and also the engagement over time. In here below, you can also see the top performing pages and also the top conversion pages here. In the next one, you can see the meetings, how many meetings are booked and who are being booked with. So you can see in here the split by team members and also the source, if it's a dialogue or if it's a conversational flow. Also, if you have live chat implemented, similar to the other report, in here you can see all the live chats, what is the average time spent on the chat and the average time of response. And also you can see by team members who initiated with chat, with sales agent, and also the visitor name. And finally, regarding Marketo, In here, you can see all of the filters and triggers that you can use in Marketo to track also the activity in dynamic chat. We recommend you that you always set up a program in Marketo. We have a dedicated channel for dynamic chat where you can track like if someone has engaged with the chat or if they have reached the goal. I will show you now a basic setup for the Marketo program. And then some other things to consider is that conditions are supported in the flow steps of a campaign for dynamic chat filters. So you can use any of those in a flow step. For example, when you send an email and add choices, you can decide depending on the dialogue that they interacted with to send one email or one alert or whatever you want to do in the flow. Then also the dynamic chat activities can be synced with Marketo Sales Insight. You can create also interesting moments based on that. But for that, you require to do some steps on the integration with MSI and Salesforce first. Also, you can see the dynamic chat activity in the activity log of the person. And as I say, we recommend you to use a dedicated channel for this. And I'm gonna show you a very simple one. So in here, as you can see, we have a channel here for dynamic chat. This could be also like a person source that you should be considering adding now to your attribution model. And then in here, we have 3 campaigns, one for members. This would be for anyone that engaged with a dialogue, and you can input the dialogue name. This, for example, is if someone reaches a specific goal in the dialogue, you can put the goal name, and then in this case could be a download. And then finally, the influence campaign, we can give like a special credit, for example, if they book a meeting with sales and mark them as influence. So then in the flow, it's just changing the program status and populating the acquisition program and sending alert, creating an interesting moment or anything that you want to do in here. And yes, that's it on my side.
So thank you so much for your Q&A and your engagement throughout the call. And as I said at the beginning of the call, if you want to continue the conversation, please connect with us on LinkedIn. Otherwise, if you're watching this on demand, we'll hopefully speak to you very soon. Thanks, everyone. Enjoy your day.